Introduction. Many men today find themselves frustrated and confused when they get left on read by a woman they're interested in. It feels like rejection, but in reality it often reveals something deeper about how she views you. If you're constantly waiting for her to reply, chasing her attention, or accepting breadcrumbs of interest, then you've positioned yourself as an option rather than a priority. Women don't ignore men they truly value, they ignore men they see as replaceable. The truth is, being left on read isn't always about her being too busy. It's about where you stand in her life. If you allow yourself to be treated as one of many, she'll never see you as the one. This lesson isn't about blaming women, it's about raising your standards, protecting your self-respect, and refusing to settle for being an afterthought. When you stop chasing validation and start commanding respect, you'll notice a shift. The right women will respond, not out of convenience, but out of genuine interest. 1. Being left on read. Being left on read is one of the most common modern experiences that triggers feelings of rejection, insecurity, and overthinking. Yet it also offers a powerful lesson in emotional strength and self-respect. When someone reads your message but chooses not to reply, your mind often races to fill in the silence with assumptions. Did I say something wrong? Are they losing interest? Am I not worth their time? This spiral of thought reveals how much of our validation we unconsciously tie to others' responses. The truth is, being left on read says far more about the other person's priorities, mindset, or circumstances than it does about your worth. Some people leave others on read out of distraction, avoidance, or simply a lack of investment. Others do it as a subtle way of exerting control or signaling disinterest. In every case, the crucial lesson lies in how you interpret the silence and what you allow it to mean for your sense of self. Instead of clinging to the need for their reply, shift your focus to reclaiming your own value. A lack of response is a response in itself. It communicates their level of engagement, and that should be enough for you to decide how to proceed without begging for clarity. Being left on read teaches patience, boundaries, and the ability to detach from what is outside of your control. It challenges you to not take things personally, even when your ego feels bruised. It encourages you to cultivate an abundance mindset. If someone does not respond, countless others will, and your time is better spent investing in those who reciprocate. More importantly, it reminds you that respect and interest should never be one-sided. You constantly have to chase someone's attention. They are showing you their lack of alignment with your energy. At its core, the lesson of being left on read is one of emotional maturity. Instead of overanalyzing the silence, you learn to accept it gracefully, maintain your dignity, and walk away from situations where your effort is not matched. It builds resilience by teaching you to not let temporary digital interactions define your self-worth. With this perspective, being left on read is no longer a rejection but redirection, a reminder to invest in yourself, to prioritize people who value you, and to release the need for external validation. Once you embody this mindset, what once felt like a sting becomes a filter, helping you see clearly who belongs in your life and who does not. Life often puts us in situations where we must distinguish between options and priorities. Yet many people fail to recognize the difference. Options are the countless possibilities available to us at any given moment: friends to spend time with, tasks to complete, opportunities to chase, or people who show temporary interest in us. They are flexible, interchangeable, and rarely demand long-term commitment. Priorities, on the other hand, are the few things or people that hold deep meaning and lasting value. They shape our decisions, determine our direction, and ultimately reveal what we truly care about. The lesson here lies in realizing that treating your priorities as just options is one of the most damaging mistakes you can make, both in personal growth and in relationships. When someone feels like they are merely one of your options, they will eventually drift away because no one wants to compete for significance in your life. Similarly, when you treat your purpose, health, or ambitions as replaceable, you undermine your own progress and end up living without clarity or fulfillment. The key to mastery in life is not having endless options but knowing which few priorities deserve your full focus and energy. This requires discipline, self-awareness, and sometimes painful sacrifice, because prioritizing means choosing what matters most while letting go of distractions that only look appealing in the short term. For example, you may have the option to go out and seek temporary excitement, but if your priority is building a meaningful relationship or advancing your career, you must resist instant gratification and invest in what aligns with your deeper values. Options are infinite, but time, energy, and attention are limited, so every time you entertain too many options, you steal resources from your true priorities. Understanding this truth creates power, because people who know their priorities command respect, attract loyalty, and live with purpose, while those who chase options endlessly remain scattered, dissatisfied, and replaceable. The real lesson is this: options will always be around, but your priorities define who you are becoming. If you fail to guard them, you risk losing what truly matters in exchange for what only looks exciting in the moment. To live wisely is to align your choices with your priorities, not to be seduced by every option that comes along. This distinction determines whether your life will be meaningful and impactful or shallow and easily forgotten. 3. Attention is one of the most valuable currencies in human interaction. Yet too often people waste their energy chasing it rather than earning it. The truth is that attention that is chased feels forced, fragile, and temporary, while attention that is earned is natural, lasting, and rooted in genuine respect or interest. When someone chases attention, they are essentially saying, "My worth depends on you noticing me," which comes from a place of insecurity and neediness. This not only weakens self-respect but also pushes others away, because people can sense desperation and rarely value what is so eagerly seeking validation. On the other hand, when attention is earned, it flows naturally without pleading for it. It is built through qualities such as self-confidence, discipline, authenticity, and the ability to add value to others. For example, a person who spends time developing their skills, improving their health, or building their character doesn't need to beg for acknowledgement. People naturally notice and gravitate toward them. In friendships, relationships, and even careers, the ones who command attention are those who focus on growth rather than approval. This principle applies especially in dating. The more a person chases someone else's attention, the more they lose power. But the moment they shift their energy to becoming better, stronger, and more grounded, attention begins to come their way effortlessly. The key lesson is that attention is not something to be hunted like prey. It is something to be attracted through the silent force of value and presence. Just as a flame doesn't chase the moth but still draws it in, true self-respect and strength create a magnetic field that others cannot ignore. Therefore, instead of exhausting yourself trying to be seen, work on becoming someone worth seeing. Invest in your growth. Stay true to your principles and let your actions speak louder than your pleas. Attention that is earned builds respect and loyalty, while attention that is chased disappears the moment you stop chasing. The shift comes when you stop asking, "How can I get people to notice me?" and start asking, "How can I become the type of person people can't help but notice?" For scarcity creates value. Scarcity creates value because human psychology is deeply wired to desire what is rare, limited, or difficult to obtain, while overlooking what is abundant and easily accessible. This principle applies across all areas of life, from economics to relationships, and even to personal development. When something is limited in supply, whether it is time, attention, resources, or opportunities, its perceived worth increases dramatically because people instinctively sense that they might lose the chance to have it. In economics, scarcity drives prices higher. A rare diamond, a limited edition product, or a once-in-a-lifetime event holds immense value precisely because not everyone can have it. The same logic applies in human interactions. When someone gives their time selectively, their presence is valued more than if they are always available and eager to please. Many people fail to realize that constantly overgiving or being too accessible diminishes their perceived worth, because abundance creates the illusion of low value. Scarcity, on the other hand, signals importance, exclusivity, and prestige. This is why luxury brands carefully control their supply, and why a busy person's approval feels more rewarding than that of someone who has nothing else to do. Even in personal growth, scarcity plays a role. When you discipline yourself to say no to distractions, your focus becomes more valuable and powerful, because it is rare in a world of endless noise. Understanding this principle allows you to strategically manage your time, energy, and presence to elevate your worth in the eyes of others. If you are constantly chasing, giving, or making yourself available, people subconsciously begin to take you for granted because there is no scarcity. But when you set boundaries, prioritize yourself, and allow your presence to be earned rather than freely given, others naturally place more value on you. Scarcity does not mean withholding love, kindness, or generosity. It means being intentional and selective, creating an aura of rarity that sparks respect, desire, and appreciation. Just like gold is precious because it is scarce, your attention, time, and energy become precious when not everyone can have them. In relationships, this principle prevents you from being treated as an option, because people recognize they cannot take you lightly. In business, it allows you to command higher respect and loyalty by offering quality over quantity. And in life, it reminds you that your uniqueness is your greatest source of value, because no one else can replicate you. Scarcity creates value, not by manipulation but by revealing the truth, that what is rare, disciplined, and intentional always shines brighter than what is cheap, abundant, and desperate. 5. Her actions speak louder than words. When it comes to understanding a woman's true feelings, one of the greatest mistakes a man can make is to rely solely on her words, while ignoring her actions. Words are easy to say, often influenced by politeness, social expectations, or even fear of confrontation, but actions carry the weight of truth. A woman may say she's interested, but if she constantly cancels plans, avoids spending time with you, or only responds when it benefits her, then her actions reveal indifference. On the other hand, a woman who genuinely cares will not only say it but demonstrate it through consistent behavior, making time for you, supporting you in your struggles, remembering small details about your life, and showing genuine concern for your well-being. Her body language, attention, and effort all communicate more than any verbal promises ever could. This principle is crucial because men often get trapped in wishful thinking, clinging to hopeful words while ignoring contradicting behavior. True connection is not built on what someone says in the heat of the moment, but on the consistency of what they do over time. A woman who values you won't make excuses, because effort is a choice, not an accident. She will invest energy into the relationship no matter how small the gesture. Likewise, indifference, neglect, or disrespect are all clear messages louder than any denial or sweet reassurance. By learning to read her actions more than her words, you protect yourself from manipulation, disappointment, and wasted time. You begin to see reality for what it is, not for what you wish it to be. In relationships, this lesson helps you shift from blind trust and empty promises to discerning judgment based on tangible behavior. When you master this, you will never be confused by mixed signals again, because actions always reveal priority. If she values you, it will show. If she doesn't, it will also show no matter what she says. 6. Respect yourself first. Respect yourself first is the foundation of every healthy relationship, every personal achievement, and every meaningful step forward in life, because how you see yourself sets the standard for how others will treat you. When you place value on your own worth, you begin to understand that boundaries are not walls of selfishness but necessary safeguards of your peace and dignity. Too many people exhaust themselves trying to earn validation from others, but true respect begins when you no longer need external approval to feel secure. This doesn't mean you stop caring about people. It means you stop sacrificing your integrity and well-being just to be liked, loved, or accepted. Respecting yourself involves cultivating discipline, choosing habits that strengthen you rather than weaken you, saying no when you mean it, and being willing to walk away from anyone or anything that diminishes your sense of value. It means not tolerating disrespect, not settling for crumbs of affection, and not excusing behavior that undermines your happiness. The paradox is that when you stop chasing respect and give it to yourself first, people naturally begin to respect you more, because confidence is magnetic and self-assurance is undeniable. Respecting yourself is also about accountability, being honest about your mistakes, learning from them, and refusing to live in denial. It is not arrogance. It is the balance of humility and self-worth. If you want love, you must first love yourself enough to demand love that is healthy. If you want success, you must respect your own time and potential enough to pursue it with focus. And if you want peace, you must honor your inner voice and stop betraying yourself to please others. Remember, you teach people how to treat you not by demanding it with words, but by embodying it in how you treat yourself daily. When you respect yourself first, you rise above desperation. You stop clinging to toxic people, and you attract opportunities aligned with your true value. Self-respect is not given, it is built through consistent choices, through courage, and through the unwavering decision to stand tall even when you are alone. Ultimately, respecting yourself first is not only an act of personal power, but also a gift to the world, because people who value themselves inspire others to rise to that same standard. 7. Shift the focus. Life often feels heavy because we get trapped in the habit of focusing too much on what is outside of our control, other people's opinions, outcomes we can't predict, and circumstances we can't change. The truth is, most suffering comes not from the events themselves, but from the way we choose to direct our attention. To shift the focus means to consciously redirect your energy from what drains you to what strengthens you, from what frustrates you to what empowers you, and from what is beyond you to what is within your reach. Imagine a man who spends all his time obsessing over whether others approve of him. No matter what he does, he will always feel insecure, because the spotlight of his focus is on something he cannot govern, the perceptions of others. But if he shifts that focus toward improving his skills, developing his character, and living by his own standards, suddenly he feels grounded, no longer tossed around by external judgments. The same applies in relationships, careers, and personal struggles. If you fixate on what is unfair, you nurture resentment. If you focus on how you can respond, you nurture growth. Shifting the focus is not denial. It doesn't mean ignoring reality, but it is a practice of recentering your mind where your effort actually matters. The Stoics understood this deeply. They taught that freedom comes from caring only about what is up to you and letting go of everything else. When you learn to shift your focus, setbacks transform into lessons, rejection becomes redirection, and uncertainty becomes an opportunity to strengthen patience. Ask yourself daily, am I giving my attention to what I cannot change, or am I investing it in what I can influence? The answer will reveal the quality of your peace. Mastering this principle makes you harder to disturb, because instead of being at the mercy of life, you become an active participant in shaping how you experience it. The world may not bend to your will, but your perspective can always be adjusted. In that shift lies power, freedom, and resilience. 8. When you walk away, You gain power. When you walk away, you gain power because you reclaim control over your emotions, your time, and your dignity. Too often people stay in situations, relationships, or opportunities that drain them, hoping for validation or change that never arrives. But the moment you decide to leave, you shift the dynamic. You are no longer the one waiting, begging, or tolerating less than what you deserve. Walking away sends a clear message. You value yourself more than the circumstances that belittle or weaken you. This act requires inner strength because it means choosing the unknown over the comfort of familiarity. Even if that familiarity is toxic, it shows that you would rather be alone and in alignment with your standards than remain entangled in something that disrespects your worth. Power doesn't come from controlling others, it comes from controlling yourself, and walking away demonstrates that mastery. When you walk away, you remove your energy from people who feed off it without reciprocating. You force them to face the void your absence creates, and that silence often speaks louder than words. It is not about revenge or manipulation, but about showing, through action, that your presence is earned, not owed. By walking away, you also create space for new opportunities, healthier relationships, and growth that would never have been possible had you stayed stuck. It strengthens your confidence, proving to yourself that you can survive and even thrive without what you thought you needed. Over time, this discipline builds unshakable self-respect, and others notice it too. They realize you are not easily swayed, not desperate, and not willing to settle. Ironically, the very act of walking away often makes people value you more, because scarcity creates demand, yet the true reward isn't in them coming back, it's in the freedom and peace you gain. Walking away is a reset button. It teaches you patience, resilience, and detachment. You learn that love, respect, and opportunity